Well, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I am curious before we get into your work. I want to know what what was it like getting through the pandemic and how did it change the way that you do your work? How much has it reverberated into your world and your clients?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I was fortunate to have my dark night of the soul before the pandemic. So by the time and for what that means is that was my journey inward and doing a lot of soul searching. So by the time the pandemic came about, I was ready to dive right in to help people. So I felt really fortunate where people needed help and assistance. And I would say the only difference would be that I worked more virtually with clients.
Hmm.
I was still able to, I was in Southern California at the time. And so we were able to still meet in person. Sometimes during some parts of it, it was still in the office as long as, we were 6 feet apart. Sometimes we would meet at a park, sometimes. So we made it work
Yeah.
because some people needed to get out of their house at that time, and it really was nice. We like I said, I was very adaptable. I think I was just ready to serve, and it was really fortunate that I had that opportunity to go inward, and maybe by divine timing, it all unfolded where I was ready to dive right in deeper into my practice, and I was able to do it full time throughout the whole pandemic. So I was really blessed in that sense. It did change the way that people, I think what I realized was people were just needing a lot of help and support. It didn't really matter how it showed up. So, like I
Yeah.
said, whether it was on the phone, whether it was in the office, whether it was at the park, I was just ready to go. And I think what I saw out of humanity was a lot of service to others, where people really, they stepped up to the plate and was like, all right, let's just be adaptable and give the people what they need. So I saw a lot of good that came out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that the irony of it is that I think we do understand what the value of human connection, being physically in a room with humans, because we were very connected, but it's still like after it was all lifted, everybody was ready to go out and run and see each other and be a part of it. But the good thing I know on my end, when I was doing telehealth, it was so much more convenient because my son's on the spectrum. And it was always like we would have to get ready, we would have to explain, drive, and then he would only be a part of it for a certain amount of time. And then it was the adults in the room that would be involved. So it almost seems like it's made it a lot easier and a lot more streamlined to do it this way.
Yeah, and the nature of hypnotherapy too is often really about getting comfortable, like in your set and setting. So
Yeah.
while I do strive to have a really nice office environment, it's also nice if people are in their bed, if they can lay in their bed, their favorite chair, on the sofa, in a place that's familiar to them, and it takes away that the drive. Or if someone is shows up at the office after being stuck in traffic and they're frazzled, like that's not ideal if we only have an hour. So yeah, absolutely, I think we if so long as people are getting that human connection at some point in their life throughout their day to day, I think that it's great to have that telehealth, to have,
Yeah.
be able to do that, like you said, take away some of maybe that extra stressor,
Yeah.
um, getting to and from an appointment.
So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do in 2024. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day, and one of the kids is curious and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you
Yeah.
answer him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I would say it's similar to therapy though, and if I was talking to third graders, I would explain, therapy is, talking about yourself, learning how to express how you're feeling, what you're thinking, how you go through your day to day. But this goes a little bit deeper in that we also use feelings in the body, and we want to connect the mind and the body, right? So a lot of times in our day to day, especially as we become adults, we're very left brain, or we're very analytical or very logical. We neglect how we feel. If you ask somebody where they feel their tension or their discomfort, right? A lot of times they'll say like in their chest, right?
Yeah.
In their heart, in their stomach. So we really try to link the mind and the body. So that would be a little bit different than traditional therapy. And then also relaxation, breath. We take the mind and the body, and we connect them, and we still are expressing how we feel, and we are bringing an overactive system. It's often in our mind. We're often overactive in our mind, and we're
Yeah.
bringing it into our body, and we're balancing it out. A lot of us are very top heavy, and so if we're thinking too much, all we have to do is bring it down to the body to help soothe and smooth and connect the mind body connection.
So, what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
That's a great question. I wanted to be an FBI agent.
Cool.
I always loved investigating, and I guess I still do. Like, I want to know why, and I want to know why people are stressed out. I want to know why they're frustrated, why they're upset, why they're lonely. So I think I always had an inkling for wanting to know and investigate. It
Yeah.
just showed up in a little bit of a different way. And I actually was a school teacher. Funny that you brought up the
Okay.
third graders. So I do love helping people. I love service to others. I like to explore the mind body spirit connection. And yeah, I think wanting to help, there's that I have a tenacity for wanting to help people solve problems. So find solutions. Yeah, help others. I think that's our human nature. I think we get away from that sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think as a kid, many of the things that we say we want to do as kids are help others, service
Yeah.
to others.
Yeah, for sure. So, how did you evolve to this point? How take me back to where you were born and raised, and how did becoming a holistic coach, hypnotherapy, yoga, how did all of this become your life now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I did go in a little bit into the criminal justice field, and I found that I wasn't able to work one-on-one as much with people. And then I ended up being a teacher where I felt like I could help others. And then after I was a teacher for a while, the bureaucracy of it and the politics of it became a lot, and I there was not so much freedom and autonomy to help as much as I wanted to, and so I branched out. I had throughout that process, I was very big into yoga, very big into meditation, and in a more conservative environment like a public school system that I could only do so much there. And so I went into the holistic field, having my own struggles with health and being burnt out. And I was burnt out as a teacher. I saw a lot of teachers burn out really easily. The demands were very high. I think that a lot of people in our mainstream culture burn out, and I was just finding myself in this cycle. So in an attempt to help myself and others as I was teaching yoga, I found I could get a lot of results by teaching the way that I had learned to live. And then that took me into hypnosis. Actually, there's a lot of overlap between yoga and meditation and hypnosis. It is that mind body connection. And then you add in the spirit. And so the spirit, that can mean a lot of different things. To me, that was really just a higher power that, again, back to service. Like I knew that I wanted to serve humanity. And to me, there was a spiritual element in that, just naturally feeling called to that. And so it took me around the world. I ended up doing my training in Thailand, and I had
Wow.
the good fortune of traveling to Vietnam, China, India, all these beautiful places that I saw how many other people lived. It opened up a whole new world of gratitude and appreciation for what I had learned throughout my life, like all the privilege that I had. And it just made me want to even share more. And so I brought that back. And then I found myself in Southern California where I got to learn from a lot of other people that lived holistically.
Mhm.
And then ultimately I brought it back to the East Coast. And so I'm trying to share that here where it's a little more of hustle and bustle. People are very open to it, but there's not as much knowledge yet. But like I said, people are very, very open to it here.
So I'm curious, do you ever look at your life on your timeline and think, I wish I would have done this before? Or do you see being a teacher and going through that phase of burnout and stress as the precursor to you having this mission now?
Yeah, I think, when I look back at it, I needed all of those elements in order to get me to where I was. I needed to, when I worked as a paralegal at a law firm, I needed to learn those skills of administrative duties. I needed to learn those computer systems. When I was a teacher, I needed to learn how to communicate with all types of people and learn all different types of personalities, become more assertive. And then I needed to go on my own journey, in my own personal life, having, been through a divorce. I needed to learn how to live alone and, under a lot of different circumstances. And then I was able to start this business. Throughout all of the times, I'm like, none of this makes sense, and then ultimately it does. And then, as I really came in full circle to my spiritual practice and living in service to others, it all started to make sense. And I could connect the dots, and I was like, wow, this is really beautiful. I want to share this with other people and show them how their journey is connecting them each step of the way, even if it doesn't seem like it's connected,
Yeah.
it's all connected.
Yeah. So who's been that hero, that inspiration for you in your life?
Oh, I I've had a lot of wonderful teachers. I would say the one person that was always like, go do it was my aunt, my Aunt Donna, my godmother. When everyone else was like, are you sure you want to do that? She's like, go do it, So I think everyone needs that one person in your corner that maybe isn't the most conservative, but that's like, no, just go. You got this. I got your back.
Yeah.
Um, while I have had several of them, I would say she's that lifeline I can call up and I have this crazy idea and she's like, uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
We all need that. So of all of these places that you went to train, these beautiful places around the world, what was the most unexpectedly beautiful, magical place that you went to?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I would have to say, though, without a doubt, Thailand. There's this island called Koh Phangan,
Yeah.
and it's not built up. I don't think they're even allowed to build commercially on the island. It was so
Yeah.
beautiful in the sense where the village people were so sweet and trusting. At nighttime, they would have their stands, whatever they would be selling. They would leave their cash registers out. Like they would just leave them out.
Oh,
It was so funny to see. I'm like, did they know? Like, did they know that they left their money box out? And they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like we tried to tip them and they'd be running after us, like, oh, you gave us too much money. Like just the sweetest people I've ever met and known. And it was just very pristine. It was very I mean, it was nature untouched. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but I love Thailand. I love the people. I love the culture there. I mean, Asian culture to me, the collectivist culture is just really warm and welcoming, and I mean, you can find goodness and kindness everywhere, but that was very easy to find there.
Yeah. So I'm curious, when you're in a position of being a coach or a teacher, and a therapist, you're lending and helping people through, whatever challenges they're going through. But you obviously grow yourself, you learn as well. What was the one time period, client, year? What was it in your timeline where you grew the most? It may have been really grueling, but you learned the most out of that situation.
Yeah, I mean that's a wonderful question. I would say that the universe did always send me what I needed when I needed it. But I would say, some of the hardest things would be when there were clients of that had abuse and you want to step in and fix it to an extent, and you really have to do a lot of soul searching within you that sometimes for whatever reason people have to go through their own journey and that you can only do so much.
Yeah.
And so I think that has been there's one woman in particular that I worked with. I think I started with her when she was 18 and then maybe she till 20 and I mean we healed so much. She healed so much,
Yeah.
but there were so many times that I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then I'm like, if she can go through this, I can
Yeah.
get past this on my own. So there is that that shared experience that you have with somebody when you're working that intimately with it. And I had to have my own practice of understanding existential, crisis, angst, whatever you want to call it. I had to come to peace with in terms with a lot of these greater forces at play. And so I would say that's the most challenging when you want to help, but it's not necessarily your job, like that someone has to go through their own struggle on their own. And so it's like it's helping, but with detachment.
Sure. So, holistically speaking, what gets you up every day to do this work? You have to deal with a lot of heavy stuff, obviously. So, how do you balance that with helping people and having the energy and evolving and having the energy for yourself? It's part balance, part motivation. What is that for you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I have you know, learned to take time off, and learned like what fills my cup and when I'm starting to put in too much work and know that because I can also get stuck in a trap of doing too much healing work or going on too many retreats and like getting too excited about constantly evolving. And so a practice of just being and doing and my friends and my loved ones will help me keep me like, oh, like maybe let's do something fun or let's do that. So definitely knowing when to fill my cup. It's been a work in progress, but I've also learned I'm more of somebody that can work really hard for a few weeks or a few months, and then I'm better off at taking a few weeks off at a time, as opposed to I know some people do like a Monday to Friday and then they have their weekends. Like I can go 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 go, but then I like to have a little bit more of extended period of time off. So
Yeah.
that's the privilege that I do have of being self-employed is I don't have to necessarily abide by an 8 to 5 and then the weekends. Like if I want to work all weekend, I can, and then I know I'll plan something that's a little bit more of a few days off. So that's what I've learned for me and what works.
So, when you look at when you started, really helping people in earnest, you transition out of teaching into being a coach and a therapist. Has your sense of having hope for humanity increased or fluctuated? How has that worked? Do you feel better about human beings, or where are you at with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Joe. You're making me think here. I would say I'm a bit of an idealist at heart, and so I got hope for humanity. I think that that it's always darkest before the dawn.
Mhm.
But I do think, when having studied a little bit of Eastern spirituality and the yin and the yang and the light and the dark, I think that it doesn't have to be so black and white or one way or the other. But I do think when you've done some inner work, you can start to see things from a new lens of compassion and love and not so much of fear, right? A lot of the way that we see things, oh, good or bad, it's a lot of fear. It can be very fear-based.
Yeah.
And so I think having worked on that fear, external fear is really very close to the internal fear that we have. So
Yeah.
I think as I've grown, I can see the good in humanity. I could try to spin it positive. So yeah, I would say I would have to go with I see us evolving.
Good. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight and you ran into that version of you right after you got out of teaching, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on everything you've learned, everything you've lived up to this point, what advice would you impart on that younger professional version of you?
Yeah, I would say don't listen to anybody else but yourself
Yeah.
in the sense of, or shouldn't say it like that harsh, but listen to yourself first, because there's a lot of people out there that are going to tell you what they think or what you should do. And if you're not really solid in what your core values are or your intrinsic guidance system, if you're not listening to that, you can be pulled in a lot of different directions. And I'm looking back, I think I did overall do a pretty good job of that. But you're gonna, it's a noisy world out there, and you're gonna be
Yeah.
pulled in all different directions. So I would say just, follow your heart, guidance system, whatever you want to call it. I would say definitely be true to that.
So, of everything that you've done and accomplished and evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
Um, I would say finding that center,
Yeah,
finding that unapologetically, because there's a lot of demands and there is a lot of, wanting to. I was a people pleaser. I wanted everyone to be happy, and I still do to an extent, but that's not where my worth comes from anymore. So I think that me being feeling whole and complete alone, but still wanting to serve and make others happy is my biggest accomplishment. And I want that for everyone.
absolutely. So, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, I think I've evolved to be in the flow, to be present, to be adaptable, but really stay true to myself and grounded. So I would say, yeah, I would say true to my essence, to my heart, to my soul.
So, Tara, if anyone wants to hire you, reach out, learn more, any of the good business, where do they go? And before that, I want to know if somebody is watching this and they're on the fence right now and they're thinking they need help, they're thinking they need a little bit extra in their lives, what would you say to convince them to at least reach out and consult and find out where they're at?
Yeah, yeah, I would say, I mean, I can do this all by myself for a long time.
Yeah,
And not that I didn't trust anyone, but no, you don't know. There's a lot of stuff out there. I would say, they're welcome to talk to me, but talk to somebody. A lot of these people offer free
yeah,
consultations. It doesn't hurt, spend 15, 20, 30 minutes on the phone with somebody and get a feel for them. Ask them questions, interview them and just say, hey, I'm on the fence. Like be open and honest. And if
yeah.
you can be open and honest in that short time, then I think you could try it and you'll be okay. And you can always change your mind. And that's the beauty of it too. And with hypnosis, I know that it can sound a little bit esoteric to some people, but I want people to know that there is complete autonomy, complete control, and it is really like it is actually, if anything, it's empowering and it's actually bringing more power back to yourself than giving it away. So
Sure.
I would say do it. I live my life by, I'd rather do it and reevaluate than not do it and say that I should have done it.
Yeah. Well, Mark Twain said at the end of his life, he didn't regret what he did, he regretted what he didn't do. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the caveat. So if anyone wants to reach out, where's the
Yes.
best place for them
Oh,
to go?
absolutely. Yeah, just my name, Tara O'Neill, .com, TARAONEIL. I am working one-on-one with clients as well as doing a group coaching program. This next group coaching program is 90 days and it's a relationship reset. So the relationship with yourself will bring you better relationships with your partners, your loved ones, your family.
And all of that will be tested in the coming month or month and a half.
Yes, 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 yes.
It's holiday
For
time.
sure.
Tara, thank you so much. I appreciate your story and time. Best of luck with everything and
Oh,
have a great holiday season.
it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for the work that you do as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.